Reynolds to speak to us today on gifts from the ancestors' gifts, and how we are gifts to the future as well. So thank you, Dennis. Look forward to this.
It'll become clear as I share my sermon why I wanted to do both of those pieces. And the main reason is what finalized my decision is last week I took some time to just listen to things. Now, I must admit, it's something I don't do as often as I know would best feed me. I certainly intend to make time to just sit in nature with regularity, because it feeds me deeply and opens my mind and heart and my soul and makes me smile deep within. But I just get too darn busy. There are emails awaiting a reply, dishes to wash, laundry to fold, a sermon to write, and weeds in the garden to pull. A lot of weeds in the garden to pull. Now, I do, in the midst of weeding, try to pause from time to time and to just give myself permission to be there in the garden, fully present, even though there are a lot of invasives that do need to be pulled. I often have to go away from time to give myself permission to take time to just sit in nature, to spend time in what I call a nature listening session. Last week's listening session was in the midst of a 2-week trip to California to see family and to take in a couple of national parks. We cruised around Channel Islands National Park, and since the boundary is a mile from the islands, I've been to Channel Islands National Park, even though we didn't make landfall, because they will drop you off there and come and pick you up the next day if you've got backpacking equipment. My wife Suzanne said we weren't going to go there that way. I have a commitment from a young friend to try it again in the next few years, and it better come sooner. I'm not going to go there. We had a delightful time, though, in Pinnacles National Park. I recommend it highly. People been there? Anybody been there? It's a wonderful park. And I spent some time hiking there. But while I was there, I found myself mostly looking up with the hope that I might spot a condor, because California condors make that their home. And I did one distant sighting that I think was really a condor. It looked awful big to be a vulture. So I'm calling it a sighting. Yet sometimes I need to stop walking to fully listen. It was near the end of the trip when we were staying with my goddaughter and her family, who lived near a nature reserve at the edge of Santa Rosa, that I took that kind of time. I spent a slice of Sunday afternoon under a gnarled and twisted oak tree. I call such places nature church. The wind that had persistently shaped that tree was up my back, and it created a soft, rustling sound as it passed through the leaves and the grasses. The meadow that spread out before me was cloaked in a special seasonal tint of green that comes each spring, and depending on the rain, may last into summer. No doubt that wind that blows in from the coast year-round will turn warmer and drier in the months to come. And the grass will turn from green to gold, and then a soft yellow, and in time to a dusty gray-brown. All that change will come. But the then and now of that memorable, but in no particular way noteworthy day, the grasses that I listened to and watched closely seemed to dance with joy, and each soft gust of wind passed over and amongst them. From a distance that I watched, the grasses of that hillside seemed to move in a rhythmic wave of flowing green. No doubt they danced there often, but it was that afternoon when I was blessed to be in the audience. It was a lovely performance. As I watched intently and with intention, the grasses closer to my eyes revealed themselves to be not a uniform carpet moving as a wave, but rather a multitude of strands, with each blade unique in size and shape, each having its own part to play in the shared dance. By the seed pods that were already emerging, I mean, it's California, there's some weeks ahead of us in the changing seasons, I could identify at least 3 different kinds of grasses that I knew. And interspersed amongst the grasses were some small thistles, their stalks lifting unfolding buds skyward. Splashed across the meadow, I noticed brilliant blue blossoms of camas flowers. I saw some more on my way heading out of the valley this morning. Those are the flowers whose bulbs fed indigenous people for so many years, feeding the generations who had walked across that meadow. At my feet, I could see some short red-tinged weeds. To my right, some vetch with small bluish blossoms was twisting its way skyward. Below the layer of vibrant new life, I noticed golden mosses covered in part by the decaying brown leaves from last fall, and amongst and under them the gray-brown strands of last year's grasses and weeds. Though not readily visible, they were still present within the meadow. Now, because the meadow is part of a protected reserve, it has moved through the cycles of the seasons uninterrupted by mowers or plows. These generations, their generation upon generation, have sprouted and grown and danced, gone to seed and withered and died, leaving for those who would follow the nutrients they had gathered, offering that final gift to the generations to come. The grasses that were simply dancing before me that sunny afternoon likely knew nothing of the continuing legacy of which they were a part. They have been the recipients of that which prior generations left behind to enhance and aid their growth. They will, in their own appointed time, grow and age and die. Yet before they do, they will release seeds unto the winds. Many of those seeds will no doubt also feed the birds and other small creatures who share the meadow with the grasses. When the frost comes, each blade will lie softly down and begin to become part of the soil itself. In so doing, they will help to nurture their future generations, thus become ancestors to the meadow of the future. I found myself on that sunny California day both watching closely and pondering deeply. Pondering how we humans are not so unlike those grasses. We too come together in shared community to move and share our lives. We, like those grasses and weeds, are separate and independent and unique. Yet when we move together, we become one. We become not a meadow, but a community. Here in this place we call church, we gather as a community of seekers. A community we name as fellowship. A community that works together for the well-being of all. a community that spiritually nourishes each individual. We come together not just because the winds blew us here, but because we have, with deep intention, chosen to be here, chosen this community of seekers to be companions on our life journey. We come together. A few weeks ago, the leader of an online meditation group with the UU Church in Eugene that I sit with on most Wednesday mornings noted part of the Buddhist concept of Sangha, which is the Buddhist name for a community of seekers, and that Sangha includes the ancestors. We are here because of those who came before. The ancestors are companions on our life journey. The same is true for a Unitarian Universalist community. The ancestors are here with us. We are nourished by the lives that they led. We are because they were. Now, I've spent time in communities where the connection to those who have come before, the ancestors, are acknowledged and honored more fully. A decade ago, I had the privilege to spend almost a week living with a Zulu family in their family compound on their land allotment, on a secondary dwelling that was one of the buildings gathered there. The grounds included 2 small houses, a latrine, a small kind of convenience store that they ran. They call it a tuk-tuk. They would sell little packets of flour to the neighbors, when they might run out. There was also a cistern to collect rainwater and a rondel, a traditional Zulu roundhouse with a falling-in thatch roof, which was the home of the ancestors. That mostly empty space was deeply sacred. They only entered it occasionally to leave an offering of a bit of grain as a token of the gratitude they held for those who had gone before, and to assure a continuation of the legacy that had been passed on to them. Though they did not dwell within it, it was a constant presence. Sometimes they passed by in remembrance multiple times, each and every day. While the family we stayed with had embraced the beliefs and many of the practices of a pretty fundamentalist Christian church, they had cherished this legacy from their past. Though they not wealthy in a material way, they knew they were part of a tradition of which they could be deeply proud. Now, I suspect some of you may have photos, those old black and white, some of them in those oval frames on your walls of your ancestors. Though we may not literally believe they are looking down on us, though sometimes it might feel that way, we have chosen to place those tokens of remembrance and gratitudes within our lives. As Unitarian Universalists, we too are inheritors of a tradition of which we can be deeply proud. It includes luminaries like Emerson and Thoreau on the Unitarian side of the spiritual family tree, and loving souls like Hosea Ballou on the Universalist side. The words of some of those luminaries can be found in the pages of our great hymnal. We have been beneficiaries of the gifts left by such ancestors. Closer to home, we've also been recipients of gifts from those who came before. I'm thinking of those who started this fellowship, and all of you who continue to nourish and feed it with your time and your treasure. Now, in our Western Eurocentric culture, we often keep ourselves too busy to stop and listen to the voices from the past. We look forward more often than we look back. Though I will often encourage you when I'm with you to just be fully present In each and every precious moment, we need to also look back. Look back and appreciate and honor the past. This fellowship is here because of those who came before. We offer gratitude to the ancestors. This gathered community will be here tomorrow and next Sunday and for countless Sundays from now on because of all of you who in this season gave generously in your annual pledge. You are becoming the ancestors. You are, if you will, ancestors in the making. It's true in our families. It's true in our communities. Your gifts will become in time kind of voices of the ancestors. There's a short song in the gray hymnal that goes like this. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and in this we live. In this time, we live and practice as a Unitarian Universalist sangha, a spiritual community, and together we will all be present with and for each other. We are also present through our gifts of time and treasure to future new members who have yet to walk in the door. The legacy which we receive and pass on through our generosity is worthy of deep gratitude and genuine celebration. Now, I've often repeated here a message that my mentor, Minister Reverend Carolyn Colbert, who I am proud to name as one of my ancestors. She would say, we are loving, caring beings. Yet sometimes we forget. We come together in church to remember. To remember that we are recipients of gifts from the past, and to remember that it is our gifts that will nurture and feed the future. I'd like to close this morning with the words of the Indigenous writer and poet, Joy Harjo. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' names and their stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away to night. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe and the universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember, the dance language is. That life is. Remember. Remember. May such remembering nurture both our gratitude and our generosity as we create the memories that shall unfold in the future. May we make it so.